everybody? Today was a great day in Lakers Nation. Made a lot of transactions over, I guess, the last 24 hours, and I want to share a few things that happened with you. Looks like the Lakers are not playing around this year. They just got right to it. They first of all added Dennis Schroeder, acquired him in a trade with OKC for Danny Green, which was a great move for the Lakers. Danny Green was an expensive contract, and they used that contract to move a player who was, I think, 33 years old, and got back in return a player in Dennis Schroeder, who's 27 years old, which aligns nicely with AD, Anthony Davis, in terms of his age, and can grow, with Anthony Davis. Second thing that was a nice move, they picked up Wesley Matthews. That was a free agent signing. Wesley Matthews was a player that played for the Milwaukee Bucks this past season. They picked him up using their biannual exception, from what I understand. And so as a result, that move triggered the hard cap, the NBA's hard cap for the Lakers. It's $138 million. And so what the hard cap means is that they can't exceed that $138 million for really no reason. I think the only exception to that would be using the bird rights that they have. And they have those on Kentavious Caldwell Pope. So if they are able to bring him back, they will definitely exercise the bird rights on him. But they shouldn't be in any trouble or anything, because they should be able to exceed the hard cap, even though they're going to be over. They can use the bird rights to exceed it, and they won't get slapped on the wrist. So the other move that they made was signing Montrezl Harrell. That's another free agent signing that they used, or that they pulled off using the mid-level exception. So I think they used the full mid-level exception on him, from what I understand. So that was a net effect, a 2-year deal for $19 million total. So, as you can see, they're making these moves. But and going back to Wesley Matthews, that contract, I believe, is about a $4 million deal, I think it's $4 million. Don't quote me on that. But as you can see, that's starting to eat into the salary cap that they do have available when you factor in LeBron James's contract, and also the coming contract with Anthony Davis once he signs, and then the money that they're going to pay to Dennis Schroeder. I think that's in the neighborhood of about $16 million. So, and that's for a 1-year deal. So anyway, again, they're starting to eat up their money, but it's being spent well. Speaking of free agents, like I said, Anthony Davis is a free agent, but they fully expect Anthony Davis to re-sign with the Lakers. All indications are that he's going to wait until after the Thanksgiving holiday to sign, for whatever reason. I mean, he's in no hurry to sign it. He's going to sign it. He likes LA. He has a great relationship with LeBron James. He just won a title with the Lakers. And then on top of that, there's no other team that can pay him the way the Lakers can pay him. Plus, no other team that he could go to. Well, first of all, there's no other team out there that has cap space at this point to pay him. And then even if there was a team out there with the cap space, they don't have a team that's competitive. So, he will be going from another opportunity to win a championship to a team that has no shot. So that doesn't make any sense. So he'll be back for sure. Other things happening in the free agent realm for the Lakers. KCP, as I mentioned before, it's Kentavious Caldwell Pope. He has a player option in the 2021 season, and he opted out of that contract but he's negotiating right now to return to the Lakers. From everything that I've heard, they're kind of going back and forth and haven't really been able to, come to an agreement yet. So while the Lakers I think they should be kind of the front runners for him, because even if a team can pay him a little more money, it's just a little more money. And again, you're back in a situation where, you know, you can go to another team, but you won't be in a situation where you can not just get paid, but also, be in a position to compete for another title. So I think the Lakers have the inside track there. And like I mentioned before, they have his bird rights, meaning he's been with the squad for 3, years at least. And so they can use, what they call his bird rights to pay him money. And like I say, he can exceed the cap. So that helps them out to get closer to the number that they need to be at in order to re-sign him. Rajon Rondo has opted out. The rumors are that he's probably going to go to Atlanta, although the Clippers are attempting to land him as well. But from what I can gather, Atlanta has the most money to give him. And so I think most people think he's going to be headed to Atlanta. Markieff Morris, Dion Waiters, Jared Judley, Kostas Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak's brother. Anyway, those are all free agents, so we'll see what happens with them. I think they would like to bring Morris back. I think that, if they have a slot on the team, they'd like to bring Jared Dudley back. Although he didn't play a lot, he was from what I understand, he was a great locker room guy. And so I think, and he said that he'd be willing to come back on a vet minimum. So I think that if they have a slot available, that they'll probably, give it to him. Other notable subtractions, I mentioned Danny Green before. So again, he went over to Oklahoma City in the trade for Dennis Schroeder. Interesting enough, OKC subsequently traded him over to Philadelphia. And speaking of Philadelphia, Dwight Howard, who I wanted the Lakers to re-sign because I love Dwight Howard's energy. I love his attitude. God, I'm gonna miss that guy. I thought he was great, and anyone who knows me and know me for a while, I used to not like Dwight Howard. I just didn't think his head was in the right space. I didn't like his playful attitude. I didn't think he was serious, and I don't think he was. He wasn't back in those days. But I think he's like anybody else. He matured. He went through life experiences that, kind of molded him. And, I think his last season with the Lakers was, 2012? And here's 2020. He kind of came back, was a totally different guy, and, became a fan favorite, definitely one of my favorites. So I hate to see him leave. I think there was some confusion where he had a conversation with the Lakers sometime today, and he thought he was going to be returning. And then I think I guess they told him they would get back to him, and I guess they took a little too long. He got antsy. Philadelphia came along and said, hey, we'll sign you. And it looks like he went over to Philadelphia. But from what I can understand, the Lakers were offering him a little more money, just a little bit more, like $500,000 more than what he's getting with the Sixers. But the more important thing is that was a guaranteed contract that the Lakers were going to offer him, supposedly, whereas the deal that he's getting with the 76ers is not a guaranteed contract, and it's for less money. Although the Sixers look like they're building a nice team and they could potentially compete at least for the championship in the Eastern Conference. I just think it was a little hasty for him to make that move. The other thing about that was that I mean, he could have possibly had the starting position with with the Lakers. I mean, his competition is the same as it was last year. JaVale McGee, and I think we all saw that for the most part, Dwight Howard outplayed JaVale McGee in most situations this year. So I don't know. I just don't get it. I thought it was a little hasty. But one thing that might have influenced his decision was the fact that the Lakers were talking to Montrezl Harrell all of a sudden from the Los Angeles Clippers. And maybe that word about that got out, although Harrell is really, in my opinion, a power forward who can, he can play center in spots, but Dwight is a center, pure center, old school center. So I don't know. If I was Dwight, I would have stayed in the cut, but that's me. A lot of people panic. Some people stay in the cut. There, it is what it is. But anyway, I think he landed in a good situation overall for him. I mean, again, Philadelphia, they're putting a nice team together there, so good for Dwight. Glad he, was here while he was here, helped the Lakers win a championship. But I think the Lakers worked out a pretty good deal for themselves with Montrezl Harrell, and it is what it is. So going through the rest of my list for subtractions, Quinn Cook was waived. And Quinn was a nice player. He was just, offensively, he's a good offensive player. Can shoot the three, but his defense was just horrible, and that's what hurt him with the Lakers. Lakers are a defensive-minded team. And if you can't play defense, you're probably not going to be on the Lakers too long. Or if you're not on the Lakers already, you're probably not going to make the Lakers squad. So that's one that we subtracted. And then the last one was Avery Bradley, who was a free agent. This one was a little surprising that he left. But I think I'm assuming. Pardon me, that what happened there was that I'm hoping that he maybe heard something about the contract talks with KCP, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, and maybe he heard that the Lakers and Caldwell-Pope were a little nearer in, reaching an agreement than what, everyone is letting on. And so if that's the case, then the writing would be on the wall, because I don't think they had money to really. Well, they didn't have money to bring both of those players back comfortably, without, especially now with the hard cap activated. It just it would have been very tough to bring both of them back. So maybe he heard that, hey, they're going to really go all in KCP, and so that was his signal to leave. Anyway, he ended up signing with the Miami Heat, a 2-year deal. Second year is a team option. So. I don't know. The Lakers could have offered him pretty much the same amount of money, and it probably would have been a 2-year deal, I'm assuming. So, whatever. Maybe he just wanted to change the pace. I don't know. I mean, he won his championship, and, maybe he wants to go do something different. Whatever. But more, all the luck to him. All the best to him. He helped the Lakers win the championship, so he's all good with me. Other things going on with the Lakers, they still have this Luol Deng contract hanging over their heads. He's on the books for this season and next season, and they're in for like $5 million, on him per year. And actually, it's like 4 point something, almost $5 million this year, about $5 million next year. So, there's some talk about maybe the league allowing them to pull that off of the books because Luol Deng ended up getting injured again. But I think he went and played for Chicago for a few months or something before he got injured again. So I don't know if they're going to let the Lakers out of that or not. The league. They have a habit of not doing the Lakers any favors. Reference the Chris Paul nullification a while back, that contract nullification. So, given that, and they haven't said they're going to wait, they're going to take that off of the books, I think it's going to stay on. So that's going to hurt the Lakers because, like I said, they're already in a hard cap situation. And so being in a hard cap situation at $138 million, $5 million is a lot of money considering they don't have a lot of room left after all those other contracts. So tools that they have left to use, they have 6 roster spots to fill. They have 9 people on the roster right now, 9 guys on the roster as of last night. And so that leaves them with 6 spaces left. They have $14 million in cap space left, assuming that they do not get any type of relief on that Luol Deng situation. And then there's the veteran minimum contracts that they can use to sign, guys. And then there's the bird rights on KCP, like I mentioned before. That'll give them some relief and help them re-sign him. And then they could work out some type of sign and trade deal. But the only thing about that is, who are you going to trade? Who has value like that? And by value, I mean the type of value that can bring you back someone of equal, value. And when I say value on the front end, from our standpoint, who has value in terms of contract money, and then if you trade that person out, what are you going to get back? You definitely aren't going to trade away, for example, a guy like Kyle Kuzma, who is worth more money than what he's getting paid. Because remember, you got to be within a certain percentage from a dollar standpoint when you trade. So you definitely can't trade straight up because there's nobody out there who can bring you back the player value that Kuzma has for the dollar value of Kuzma's contract. So they're kind of stuck on that. I doubt very seriously they're going to do any type of sign and trade deal. The only other person they could really deal in a sign and trade package, JaVale McGee, with Kuzma, and I don't think that gets you anything. So I doubt that they would do that. So that's about it. I'm just waiting to see, what else is happening, if anything else happens today, tomorrow, the next couple of days. I think, the free agency market is going to dry up pretty quickly over the next few days as these teams start to spend their money. Things are going to get tight really quickly. We should have, decisions from folks, and I don't think you have to wait long to see what's going to happen in the free agency market. Again, I think for the Lakers, who's out there left to get? I mean, besides the guys that we want to bring back, like KCP, maybe Markieff Morris. But beyond that, we probably need a center. So you're looking at Boogie Cousins. I hope they bring Boogie Cousins back. That would be great. Although he's been injured several times, still, just from a raw talent standpoint, if you can get him, you got to take the chance. If you can get him on a vet minimum contract, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Actually, nothing ventured, but a lot gained if it works out and he doesn't get injured again. And then beyond him, you're looking at maybe a wing defender. So one guy out there that hit the radar, my radar, is Trevor Ariza. Loved Trevor Ariza when he was with the Lakers back during the 2008-2009 season when they won the title against Orlando. He was a great contributor, and he's been a contributor everywhere that he's gone since then. So would love to have him back. I mean, he's a little older now, but still, if you could bring him in, especially on a vet minimum contract, that would be a huge pickup for the Lakers. He's still defending, well out on the wing. And then beyond that, there's guys like Dion Waiters that, is a nice player, good to have on the squad if you have a spot for him. And I already mentioned Jared Dudley. I think that's about it. I think that's like 6 players that I mentioned. So they only have 6 slots left. So we'll see what happens. There are other centers out there they can get if they don't get Boogie Cousins. So I'm putting Boogie Cousins' name out there because that's the kind of like the guy that I'd like to see. But there are a couple other guys that could work out. So that's not a problem. Really, their biggest need right now, in my opinion, is on the wing. If you lose Avery Bradley, you lose Danny Green. Those are 2 nice wing defenders, and they're saying, well, I heard Rob Pelinka saying that Kyle Kuzma could turn into a wing defender, a nice wing defender, and although he has some good moments, he definitely improved defensively this past season. I think it remains to be seen whether he can be the guy who's going to go out there and defend against Paul George and guys like that. So again, we'll see what happens. But I think the Lakers overall are sitting pretty well. I think they can fill out the roster with some nice players, and then by the time we get to the second part of the season and we get to the free agent deadline. They're going to be able to pick some guys up off of waivers probably, and do what they did last year and put together a winning squad based on defense and tenacity. And looking at what they picked up already, I think tenacity is going to be kind of like their hallmark signature. I mean, when you look at Montrezl Harrell, you look at Dennis Schroeder, guys like that, Wesley Matthews. You're looking at guys who get after it, and you add them to what we already have, and you got some dogs out there. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to see what happens. I think we have a nice squad that we can put on the floor. Not just nice, but when I say nice, by Lakers terms, meaning the team can compete for a championship. Let's be clear. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say, and leave your comments below if you have anything to add. And otherwise, I'll see you later on. Take care. Peace.